Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you're all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. No intro today because we're just jumping straight into part 2 of the Historic Metagame Challenge. If you didn't catch part 1, check down in the description for the link to that. Go check that out or just continue if you haven't watched it and watch part 2. Part 3 will be coming out in a day or so, so check the description or just keep an eye on the channel, subscribe if you haven't done and if you're enjoying the stuff. And yeah, let's jump straight into some more games.
So, we're moving into game 4 now, and we're against Gigantha of the Wellspring. Probably means like some sort of sacrifice list, I can imagine. This Dream Trawler is probably not going to be great. Shark Typhoon will be okay, but we're going to be doing it turn 3, making a 1-1, and it's just going to be pinged down. The Wrath of God's good. There's not really too many other spells that we've really got. I mean, Grafdigger's Cage is a good one. Could mulligan for that, there's 2. Probably just going to keep this. We're against Sacrifice, so I don't know, but we do have a turn 3 play, turn 4 play, and I guess we could hold the Irrigate Farmland and cycle that on turn 2. Okay, so opponent has the Cauldron Familiar. Probably just going to play the Irrigated Farmland out now that we have a Censor on turn 2. See if our opponent plays around Censor. Okay, so combo assembled. Okay, double combo assembled. So kind of hoping now that we get to, because our opponent's going to eat us alive with this Cauldron Familiar. We really need to find a Grafdigger's Cage. I mean, we got a few turns. Our opponent has, they're going to have 4 cards in hand. But yeah, this is what, 3 life a turn? Opponent needs to be careful as well. They might not bring the cat back now just to save an extra life. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so falling to 15. But yeah, this is a lot of damage we're going to be taking. And not much that our Wrath of God's going to do against Cauldron Familiar. Yep, gotta let this Gilded Goose resolve, really. And I'm gonna cycle this Irrigated Farmland rather than the Censor, because Censor could be good next turn. So I guess the plan is to Wrath of God next turn. Probably don't want to Doomscar this turn. Maybe should have shot that in so we could hold up Saw It Coming, but I don't really feel like falling to 13, and then we're going to fall to 11, and then 10 when our opponent attacks. So probably just going to Shark Typhoon here. Really hoping to find a Grafdigger's Cage. I could even see the argument for just like really aggressively cycling here. Cycle and then I guess just cycle the Censor as well. I say aggressively cycling, we only have 1 more cycling card. Yeah, depends what our opponent does here, because I don't really want a Wrath of God just to get rid of a Gilded Goose. But yeah, we are taking some damage. I think I'm going to board in Heliod's Intervention. I'm not sure why Heliod's Intervention's in the list. It could be for this matchup, but shooting double Witch's Oven feels really good. And if we're not shooting double Witch's Oven, then we're gaining a fair amount of life. Probably just going to cycle this for 1, save the 1 damage, make our opponent sack the cat now. Okay, so go like that. Opponent might actually, yeah, just let that go through since they have the extra food token. We tap down, our opponent might take advantage of that. So they are. Our opponent can do some damage though. Like, they can do some big damage here, yeah. Yep. Ooh. I think we've got to wipe away the board first. I really hope that was not too late, but I think we've got to wipe the board away. Yeah. Because this Mayhem Devil represents so much damage. Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like so much damage. So I don't have high hopes for this, but if we can get down the Grafdigger's Cage, and then if we can maybe untap with a Dream Trawler. Okay, so fall into 6, fall into 5. And then, so we're not just dead, I don't think, unless our opponent has like another Mayhem Devil here. Putting Gigantha in hand. Okay, so we're not just dead, and we have a Sauric coming. Our opponent gets to ping us a little bit here. I'm a little bit worried about not drawing a land next turn as well, to be able to cast this Dream Trawler, but we are hanging on by a thread. Fall into 3, and then when the cat attacks us, we'll fall into 2. This is close. So yeah, gonna fall to 2 here. And if our opponent casts Gigantha, we'll probably just have to let the Gigantha go and then Doomscar on the next turn. Or we hope that we draw land. We'll see what our opponent does first. So are we Doomscarring here on our next turn? Because I am more than happy to saw it coming, and then if we had an untapped land in hand that wasn't going to kill us, cast the Dream Trawler. But if not, it's just much more efficient to cast the Doomscar and then tap land. The alternative is if we counter this and we don't drop deck a tap land, then we're just activating Castle Ardenvale next turn to block the cat. Let's go for the high play that we top deck an untap land. And get to play this Dream Trawler next turn, because I don't know. My God, no. So yeah, we're not gonna pay this life. Okay, so we have to survive 2 draw steps from our opponent and hope we survive. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's a ton of things that kill us here. If we win game 1 though, I have hopes. Like, we have stuff in the board for this. Okay, that goes through. No priest, please. Okay, so this is it. This is it. Dream Trawler down. Opponent, have you got anything? Do you have something? We can give the Dream Trawler hexproof. Hopefully our opponent, well, I guess priest wouldn't work here as well. Oh my God, it came through. Oh, that makes me so happy. You see how close it is. Like, the Grafdigger's Cage came up right at the right moment. I think Heliod's Intervention is something we want here. And the gaining of the life there, for example, when we stabilize or close to stabilizing, if we can just gain, I don't know, say we do it for 4 and gain 8 life, like, that's going to be enough. And worst case scenario is it can just shoot all of them cages. But yeah, how are we boarding? I feel like Cast Out's probably one of our worst cards here. Probably want the Devout Decrees, and don't think we want Ether Gusts. Yeah, I don't know about Ether Gusts. I don't think we want them. Don't know about the Sauric Comings. I feel like we're just not going to have time. Maybe we do bring in the Ether Gusts above the Sauric Comings. Maybe go like that instead. Do we want a Doomscar? Maybe. Want the extra Doomscar. I could see that. Maybe, like, Sense is okay. I feel like we should probably cut something. Maybe cut this Ether Gust for the Doomscar, because Ether Gust doesn't feel that great here. It feels okay. It's like 2 of our opponent's colours. Yeah, actually, I've talked myself out of it again. Let's cut a Narset and bring in the Ether Gust. Narset's a way for us to dig to find Grafdigger's Cage, which is clearly one of our better cards in this matchup. We can afford a mistake. We won game 1. We'll run it like this. Okay, so game 2 against Jund Sacrifice. And this hand does not have a Grafdigger's Cage in it, but it does have a turn 3 Doomscar. Or we could turn 2 Baffling End something if we wanted to. Yeah, I feel like this hand's good enough to keep. I'm probably going to keep this. And if we lose because we don't have Grafdigger's Cage and our opponent doesn't turn 1 Thoughtseize us, then okay, so opponent's turn 1 Fort seizing us. It makes me feel a lot better about not mulliganing now. I think this hand's okay against Fort Seize. Having 2 board wipes in it makes me feel better. The only way I prefer mulliganing in this situation is if we... Dream Trawler's pretty good. Is if we found double Graph Digger's Cage. But after sideboarding, our opponent's going to have answers to it. They'll maybe have like a Braids or... Trail of Crumb's a good one. Just going to tuck this away for a cheaper board wipe later on. So I really need another blue source and hope that our opponent doesn't have a Fort Seize before turn 6. Oh. Looks like a goodie to me. Wonder how greedy our opponent is in terms of lands. Probably just Glacial Fortress. Just represent, absorb, and saw it coming. I mean, our opponent's got the card advantage sorted. They're in a good position for that. Cage is good. I don't think we want to play Cage out yet, though. I know that sounds insane, but our opponent hasn't been Fort Seizing us, mainly because they know what we've got. But if our opponent does Fort Seize us, we've got some protection for the Cage or Dream Trawler. And if we play it out and our opponent has an answer to it and we don't have even a Censor in hand or something, then that's going to feel awful. So our opponent gets to grab 2 cards here. This is definitely dangerous. Binding of the Old God is a good answer to Cage as well. That's a good one. Yep. What's our opponent's sacrifice here? Is that token? Opponent gets to draw a card, but doesn't get to use their Trail of Crumbs. Does Field of Ruin here? I'm going to get another blue source. I just don't know how much it's going to matter. We'll hold on to the Field of Ruin for now. So we're not in a position where we can Doomscar and absorb. And we know they have binding, so no point in really casting the Graph Digger's Cage. I mean, we can... They're going to Witch's Oven and get 2 tokens, which means on their turn they're going to... I guess they've got a land in hand, 6 mana, so they can either Binding of the Old Gods or sacrifice their thing to draw a few cards. Probably just gonna... Yeah, probably just gonna Wrath of God. We'll save the cheaper board wipe. And I don't think we're gonna Cage. It could be correct to Cage in the hopes of drawing a land to play Dream Trawler next turn. I feel much safer being on 20 here. Okay, now I feel... So we get to Cage, Baffling End, the Mayhem Devil, and then hold up Ether Gust so we can stop their binding. And then on the next turn we have the Absorb for the binding. I think that sounds okay. Yeah. Not much we can do. Opponent's going to get to just draw a load of... Well, they get to draw 2 cards here if they want to. Another cat. So really need our Well, I guess multiple cats don't matter. It's equal to the number of cages they have. Heliod's intervention, I think, was a good shout to bring in for the Trail of Crumbs. I can imagine that's the exact reason that Paulo has that in the list. Yeah, and then we get to Aethergust this binding. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a Four.Vs into binding. And then if our opponent's play is to just play binding on the next turn, then we have Absorb. Here's hoping we find a land. Land, please, off the top. I hope everyone just plays another creature here. Nope. Said about land, but we could Field of Ruin. Our opponent knows about the Dream Trawler from last round. Opponent can sacrifice a food. Could let the Grafdigger's Cage go, and we just get to hold on to Dream Trawler. Or we could Field of Ruin, shuffle away the binding, and then counter something else relevant that our opponent has, and then go for Dream Trawler on the next turn. Yeah. Let's do this now. It feels a little bit bad because our opponent's going to get to activate... I guess they only get to activate twice anyway. Opponent's going to be able to utilize all of this mana anyway, just because of their Trail of Crumbs. Opponent maybe did that wrong. Maybe they should have floated the mana first. I get another blue source. Oh, they get the binding off the top anyway, don't they? So I guess that's all they wanted to do. Yeah, opponent, I guess they're not going to sack cat because we've got cage out. Oh, oh, yeah. So we're losing our cage here. Tis unfortunate, but I think the Dream Trawler's going to be a bit better because the Dream Trawler's going to ultimately close the game. The cage is just prisoning our opponent a little bit, and this Searchlight Canter is 100% discard fodder for this Dream Trawler. So opponent's going to get to ping us down here. I guess worst case scenario now is that just to check. So yeah, Mayhem Devil in combination with Binding of the Old Gods final chapter is actually quite devastating. So worst case scenario is our opponent has like a priest here, can give the priest haste, and then answer our Dream Trawler that way. Opponent has so much card advantage with the trails. It's just an insane amount of card advantage. It's really difficult to beat. We need to find a what's it called? Heliod's Intervention. Yeah, I mean, the Jan list is sweet. Sacrifice list is pretty good. I'd imagine that's why there's a lot of cards in the board fighting this. So, okay, looks like our opponent doesn't have the Mayhem Devil like combo here. So, unfortunately, Dream Trawler cannot attack safely. Yeah. I think we boarded out all of our cast outs. Baffling End, not great. Yeah, if we attack here, I mean, we have to attack, I think. And then we just get to play a Search Canter, I guess. And then our opponent gets to blow it up with the binding. Yeah, opponent 100% blocks here. Oh, okay, yeah, big mistake. Can our opponent sacrifice? No, okay, I almost made a huge mistake. And, because our opponent, if they could have sacrificed one more creature, then they could have made the core vault big enough to eat the Dream Trawler. So yeah, unfortunately, Search Canter is just going to be blown up, and I think that's probably going to be the end. Opponent's just generated too much card advantage for us to handle. Could have maybe held the Search Canter just for an extra turn. So if we're going to activate Field of Ruin, we're going to activate Field of Ruin now. I think we're going to activate him. Yeah, probably just gonna Baffling End the Mayhem Devil and then play Teferi, rather than Doom Scarring and then doing nothing. Yeah, the problem is we can run our opponent out of cards. They've drawn 10 more cards than us this game. We are supposed to be the control list, the card advantage, draw all the cards. But yeah, Jund looks super sweet at the moment. Opponent gonna let us take this. I guess they're gonna sacrifice one more and then use that for the Trailer Crumbs. Ping us again. Opponent has so many cards in hand. And they've got a Colossus, so they're going to close the game even quicker. Okay. So opponent's done all that jibber jabber. And they've drawn a few Gilded Goose. Which we are going to just probably board wipe next turn if our opponent just plays a load of creatures out. Which I could see them doing. Probably want to close the game sooner rather than later. I think they do know about this Doomscar though. They foresees us turn 1 and then we put this in Foretell. It might have gone to a blank card or a Cryptic Command sleeve for them. Yeah. Colossus is online. It won't be after next turn, but... yeah, I mean, nothing really matters here. Because we're just going to wipe away the board. Opponent gonna knock Teferi down a little bit. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand, but the 5 cards our opponent's got is not insane. I mean, the Trail of Crumbs is good, but we took out cast outs. The Colossus might be a reason we want to keep them in actually. It's a good one. Opponent's just drawing an insane amount of cards. I guess they are going to answer Teferi here. Not much we can really do about that, though. Opponent sacrifices their token. Or they sacrifice cat, yeah, and then bring the cat back. Yeah, not much we can do against the Mayhem Devil. This is just filthy.
I'll have a better plan next time.
And opponent gets a ton of scries. Okay, so opponent is ready to pass the turn eventually. Yeah, so just wipe away the board. Opponent gets quite a bit of value. But we're going to wipe it away, and then we've got the absorb for the Corval, I guess. I don't think it's right to play Teferi there, because same thing happens again. Opponent can just ping it down with the Mayhem Devil. So yeah, opponent has 7 cards, going to have 8. So we really have to select carefully with how we are going to use this absorb, but I think we're just being drowned here. Yeah, I think ultimately what won our opponent this game was the Trail of Crumbs, but we have game 3 still. Hopefully our opponent won't go, I think they went turn 2 Trail of Crumbs, turn 3 Trail of Crumbs maybe? Gonna let that resolve. Probably gonna stop this. 2 unknown cards from our opponent. The extra Trail of Crumbs doesn't matter at this point. Rather just stop the massive threat. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage at the moment on board. Yeah, no point tucking since our opponent can use the Trail of Crumbs to get anything back. Opponent has 21 cards left in library, so definitely not going to deck. Let's just tick up. Yeah, just pass the turn. Might force our opponent to make a decision here as to whether they want to go after Teferi or want to come straight us. I think it might just be futile at this point. It might be better just for... I mean, we'll try and stop this. But for the interest of time, it might be worth just conceding here. One, for the size of this video being put out, and also in case we deck. So maybe we'll take one more draw step and see what we find. But I can't imagine what gets us out of this. Because Binding, even if we had like Shark Typhoon or something, Binding's such a good answer to it. Yeah, I just can't really envision a way out of this now. Yeah, we'll scoop it out. I mean, we were dead on our next turn anyway, so it doesn't matter. Wow. Okay, so very few times have I played against this list have I seen that power of, like, the card advantage that it can provide later in the game. We cut the Saw It coming. I feel like the rest of it was okay. Just, yeah, opponent just had... It's just what their deck does. Not much we can do about that. Maybe we don't want all these cast outs because we're only bringing them in for Clothis. We could cycle them early. Search with Canto would be good if we could flip it. Just Binding the Old Guard stopped it there. Maybe just cut one of these Ether Gusts. Or maybe a Devout Decree since Ether Gust hits the Binding. It was really actually good there. But yeah, probably just run it like that and see how we get on. Okay, so game 3 against what our opponent's doing. The disgusting Jund Sacrifice. And I think we're going to keep this. If our opponent has a Four.Vs, it's feel bad, but most hands are bad against a Four.Vs anyway, and I don't want to risk mulliganing to 6 and having like a 1-lander, so probably just going to keep this. Opponent's on the mulligan. Opponent's on the mulligan twice. They probably did exactly what we spoke about. You mulligan once, hoping for a better hand, and then you get 1-lander or no lander. Okay, so Four.Vs inbound. Yep. So opponent's going to see we have a fat load of nothing now. I mean, we can put off their Trail of Crumbs if we want. Put it off for even longer. So, I think if we draw... Maybe the decision with this hand is if you draw 1 or 2 more lands, then you're pretty much done. Hopefully these Ether Gusts can buy us a bit of time. I'm just going to recast here. Yeah, I think I'm in a position where I want to just raff the board there. And hold the Aethergust for something else. I mean, yeah, I still think I want to raff the board. Opponent gets a token. I think that's okay. And almost certainly just going to hold this Irrigated Farmland to cycle at this point. So opponent has 1 card in hand. So I don't feel awful about our position. But we do need to find a way to close the game before our opponent finds a trail of crumbs. The way I'm talking about, I'm so haunted by that card already. Triggered once. But yeah, opponent sacrifice here, make a token. We play this island, since our opponent knows about it, pass the turn. And then we've got Aethergust for next turn, and Irrigated Farmland. Opponent just put Gigantha into the hand. No. Is that 3rd one? Or 2nd one? I guess we are just baffling ending that. Opponent's going to wait till the last possible moment. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to jinx it, but I don't feel awful about our position. Opponent's got 1 card in hand. We can stop most things that our opponent's going to do. I think we'll Irrigate Farmland first. So opponent gets to blow up a Baffling End and they get 3/3. They get a Forest. I guess we could stop this. Yeah. And we could just stop the next thing. Is opponent getting a 3/3 the worst thing in the world? Because they're going to get it next turn, aren't they? We're just going to let this go. But there's better things we could possibly use our Aethergust on. Could always just Aethergust the token here as well. And that way, what, our opponent used this to get a land. I guess they still got the card out of our hand, but this way, like, kind of like answers it. Yeah, I think we're just going to Aethergust the token. Sort of jump around a little bit on that, but... Opponent gets the token, but not much we can do about that. So, yeah, we're on the Activate Castle Advantress plan and hope to find something relevant. And we're still at a position in the game where Censor could be good. And we can Censor and Activate Castle this time. Hopefully our opponent goes for a Corvold here. Oh, what do you know? Yes, please. And all of a sudden, our opponent's just left with Gigantha, and we're left with a Absorb. Yep, Absorb's great. We don't get to Absorb and Activate Castle Advantress this turn, but you take what you can get. So opponent's just putting Gigantha into the hand and tap land. So we'll activate again. So Teferi here, Shark Typhoon. Ho, yeah. Now I feel good. Feel like we might be going to a game 5 here. I mean, you're allowed 3 losses in this in the tournament. So if we untap 2 lands, yeah, I'm almost tempted to just let this Gigantha resolve, have the Absorb for the next thing, and then activate Castle Vantress instead. Look for a removal spell, or we could tuck the Gigantha. But I actually think Gigantha's not the worst thing our opponent could play. It's just a vanilla 5/5 at this point. So yeah, I think we can find an answer to this, and worst case scenarios, we'll just tuck the Gigantha. So Shark Typhoon and Doomscar. I think we're just going to untap Doomscar, and well, I guess we get to draw both anyway. And yeah, Doomscar just seems fine here. A little bit overcosted, but we'll draw that Shark Typhoon, Doomscar. Then we've got the answer for the Absorb for the next thing our opponent plays, and just cycle, make a big shark, I guess.
Keep up the pace.
And opponent gets 1 draw turn, and providing both of our opponents, if their next draw is relevant, we're going to stop that. Teferi goes up to 7 loyalty. They then have 1 draw before Teferi goes off. I guess 2 draws, but opponent's going to scoop it up there. Doesn't even want to see what the next card is. Understandable, we scryed both to the top, and Teferi's getting a bit out of control, but we managed to pull that through. So let's waste no more time. Let's move on to the next game. So, game 5 now. We're currently 4-0, and we are against Yorion Sky Nomad. We played against this, I think, game 2, and our opponent had a rather confusing list, to say the least. We can't hope that our opponent has a similar list here. We've got to hope that they have maybe more of a tier list. So, what do we think of this hand, bearing that in mind? Our opponent's also taken a mulligan. I think I'm going to keep this hand. I think it's okay. Probably just going to saw it coming on turn 2, foretell it, and then either hold it up on turn 3, slash cycle Shark Typhoon for 1, and then cycle Shark Typhoon for 2. I think Shark Typhoon, this is one of our better matchups for this. And Dream Trawler, if our opponent's on Doom Foretold, Dream Trawler's not going to be great, but we'll run that risk. And Dream Trawler is still like a real magic card if your opponent doesn't have an answer to it. So we'll see. Don't know. Looks like our opponent, I said about this a while ago when we were playing, not the last video, but maybe the Azorius video we played before Demir that we played a few days ago, that if I was going to play a Yorion list now, I'd probably be splashing the green for the new, the Binding of the Old Gods. I think that's an excellent card that you probably do want to be playing. Opponent's also playing the ramp as well. Okay, so opponent on all colours. I guess they're not running white or red at the moment. Opponent's getting the ramp game on though. Gonna have to allow our opponent Growth Spiral all day. You can't afford to counter all their ramp spells. So yeah, we're just going to cycle Shark Typhoon 3 turns back to back here and hope that that's enough pressure to close the game. It will bring us up to turn 4, turn 5. It'll bring us up to our Dream Trawler turn. Opponent's got up a hold. I feel like we have to hold the Saw It Coming because we only have the one counter spell for something that our opponent has, like an actual threat. I like our opponent's companion, or thing, little mascot, I guess. So yeah, cycle for 2. So Shark Typhoon's a good one. Wasn't expecting to see such heavy green, but opponent's obviously main decking the green. This makes it, I think, less likely that our opponent's going to have a Doom Foretold. They're not running a lot of permanents. They might just be running Yorion as like value. They're just like Sultai is a good colour combination. They've got tons of stuff. A few sagas maybe, so Doom Foretold is just going to be really good. Our opponent has a ton. What's this? 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I'm actually thinking we're quite lucky being able to draw 3 Shark Typhoons. Feels good. Don't think I'm going to play out the Dream Trawler on this turn because it's all too easy for our opponent to have an Extinction event. I actually think I'm going to hold these as well and cycle them in the end step. If our opponent has an Extinction event, which they're probably playing in the main deck, considering how many little creatures they're playing, then they get our Dream Trawlers and our Sharks. Can't really allow our opponent to have this. I mean, we could cast out it in response to the trigger. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably cast out in response to the trigger because I don't really want them to have the Dream Trawler, obviously. And hope the opponent doesn't have double counterspell here. So opponent might be like splashing red off with like a Triome or something. The opponent gets to look at a hand, but they don't get to take anything. Do we just want to stop this? Yeah, I mean, we're attacking for 4 each turn. It's a clock that we're putting our opponent on. And the further we get our opponent's clock down, the more pressure Castle Ardenvale will place on them. Again, don't really want to just play Dream Trawler into a Extinction event while we don't have some sort of shields up. Oh, we'll cycle hoping to hit something, but yeah. Ugh. Yep. Got to assume your opponent can win from this position. Nice to know what our opponent's on though. Emergent Ultimatum. Difficult to imagine a world where your opponent can't win after casting this. Because we either have to take the extra turn spell, the Omniscience, Cura, Best the Sea God. It's like a ton of things our opponent could get. So do we give our opponent double Planeswalker? I mean, the extra turn just sort of represents an extra activation with their Planeswalker. I think Liliana's the one we don't want to give them here. And then they get Nissa, and they get to activate Nissa twice, but they're still on a 2-turn clock. I think we're going to take Liliana, put that back in. Could be completely wrong, because they're going to get to hit us for 8 in total. Probably should have played Castle Barntress maybe to because I think I'd rather activate Castle Barntress knowing that this is going down, because I think the 1/1's not going to be very relevant when our opponent has 3/3 lands. So yeah, take our beating. And then our opponent gets another turn. That could be an extra turn as well. I mean, it's likely our opponent might have another extra turn spell, in which case you probably should have just given him the Liliana. But if our opponent gets Liliana there, they get to cast both of them and minus Liliana, take away our pressure. Or they just tick up Liliana. I don't know. There's a load of things our opponent could do. Yep. So we can block one of these. We can take 3, 6, 7, 8. So we're not just dead. Oh no, my apologies. The tokens make us dead. Yep. Difficult to believe that your opponent wouldn't win the game from an Emergence Ultimatum. So, how do we want to play this? Aether Gusts are coming in. Vetoes are coming in. Does Grafdigger's Cage work against Emergence Ultimatum? I think it does. I think how does Emergent Ultimatum read? I think it's like exile the cards, isn't it? And then you cast them. Yeah, I think it does work. Watch me get that completely wrong though. Aether Gusts, yeah, I want Aether Gust. I think the Baffling End is something we want to probably cut. And I can see cutting the Doomscar and maybe like the Wraths. I think probably got better things we can bring in, like Narsets. And do you want Mystical Dispute or Brazen Borrower? I mean, Mystical Dispute will be good against the Epiphanies. Good against maybe like Behold the Multiverse. Good against Emergent Ultimatum. Yeah, I'll probably bring in the Epiphany and the Mystical Disputes instead of the Brazen Borrowers. Could like trim and try and make room. I mean, we have tons for the Emergent Ultimatum, so maybe we go like that and bring in some Brazen Borrowers instead. Because cages are okay. If our opponent was still running Uro, then I'd probably keep it. Well, I would definitely keep it in both cages. And cast out's like okay, but we got other things. Probably run it like that. So we are currently down a game against Emergent Ultimatum, but we're going to keep this hand. Don't want to signpost that we have a Mystical Dispute. if we can help it. And like I said, I think earlier on in the video, going to foretell this, just so if our opponent has hand hate and they take away the absorb, they might think that they're relatively safe on the next turn. In which case, the Saw It Coming is going to get ya. Exactly, yeah, but they'd probably take Shark Typhoon, yeah. Sweet, yeah, I think we're definitely going to cast this Narset. Let's take another Narset. Take it to Fairy. Take it to Fairy. Not too sure what's the right card to take there. Both Narset and Teferi are really good.
I won't forget our time together.
Yep. Gonna try and cycle this sensor. Because I've only, yeah, splashing red, I assume just for Valky. I think we're gonna go need to grab a blue source here. Yeah, we'll try and cut our opponent off this red, just put away Tibalt as a threat. Yeah, we'll go get blue source since probably gonna need a bit more blue. And we have multiple counter spells, so we'll cycle in the hopes of hitting a land. Maybe that wasn't right actually, because it was right, I think, now that we've cycled two things, but because our opponent has Mystical Dispute. Do we believe that our opponent has Mystical Dispute? Does our opponent have a Mystical Dispute? Opponent does not have a Mystical Dispute. Confirmed. Sometimes you've got to risk it. If our opponent had Mystical Dispute there, it's probably just GG. But the fact they don't have a Mystical Dispute makes me think we might have a chance now. Since we let that go. And yeah, if we get to untap Teferi and absorb and Saw It Coming, I feel good. We're going to cycle both these in the hopes of hitting lands and more counter spells. Okay, feeling good. Okay.
We need to move quickly.
Let's get this Search Canter down, I guess. Shame we didn't hit a land drop there. I mean, we could cycle, but I'd rather hold up both Saw It Coming and Absorb if we can. And Search Canter is going to flip next turn. Yep. Not going to counter any of these filtering effects, though like Yorion adds a lot of value to them. I think can't get complacent with our counter spells, need to use them correctly. Like something like this. Try and use a Mystical Dispute here, since we just have the mana to use it. And then we'll cycle this Sensor. Come on, land drop. Yeah, I mean, we need to find out if this works. I think this works with Emergent Ultimatum. You would think that I would have done that research before. But I think we're going to keep this. I mean, Emergent Ultimatum's like not even a threat at this point. Probably just going to graveyard that, actually. Maybe should have kept it just so I could test it. But do let me know in the comments down below whether it does work with... if it stops Ultimatum. So if we activate, we'll have 5 mana on our turns. That's fine, including a veto. And then we're probably in a position now where we can start to activate Arden Veil to close the game. I guess we actually just want to protect our Teferi here. So yeah, Mystical Dispute. Yeah, because Teferi's going up to 8 loyalty now. Not going to activate Castle Arden Veil. I know there's not much our opponent could have for one colour of mana, but Teferi's now on 8 loyalty.
Keep up the pace.
There is zero reason to tap down when we have this much interaction. I think our opponent gets us with a spell that says cannot be countered, destroy your Teferi. Outside of that, I think we've got this. We even have the cast down to cycle to instantly start getting value from Teferi. Sweet. I think that's actually the second time in this league so far that we've won with a Teferi ultimate, or killed our opponent essentially with a Teferi ultimate. I think we're just going to run it back. Yeah. Opponent's trying to emergent ultimatum us if we can stop that. You saw like an insane amount of counter spells. Yeah, we're going to keep this. Kind of want to cycle this cast out. Just to make sure we hit land drops. This is one of them hands that's like, just please opponent, don't get anything under us. Yeah, we're going to cycle this cast out. And we even get to potentially Mystical Dispute something and cycle cast out. Yeah, we'll let that go. I mean, could Mystical Dispute? I think it's fine. We'll just stop the Yorion if the Yorion comes down. I think when you're playing a list like our opponent's playing, your cards that do something, like Emergent Ultimatum, really have to do something because you're running so many cards like Explore and Omen of the Sea. So as long as we can stop them cards, then I think we'll be alright. Yeah, I think opponent, you can look at our hand. Yeah, I mean, you can look at our hand. We've got an insane... I could stop that, but that means I won't be able to cycle the cast out this turn to potentially hit our 4th land drop. And I've definitely played against opponents where they look at a hand like this and they go, yeah, I'm not into play against that. And they scoop it up there. Okay, opponent takes... That probably makes sense out of all the counters we've got. There is an argument as well to not tell your opponent that you have this many counter spells. But I really do want to cycle this cast out. So I guess it gets devastating if our opponent has like counterspell plus threat here. But no, just going to put Yorion into the hand. I think when most people sit down and play Control, they're thinking of two things that they want to do. Either they want to bury their opponent in card advantage and draw all of the cards, or they want to just counter everything the opponent's doing. And we're definitely on the latter of that at the moment. Don't need lands at the moment, but I will take Shark Typhoon just to do in the end step. Just cycle and make a 4/4 here if our opponent does nothing. And then we push, because our opponent is only on 14, we push our opponent to go, you must make a move. Otherwise, you're on a 4-turn clock. Kind of happy with this turn. I mean, our opponent put a few lands into play, but they essentially did quote-unquote nothing with their mana. When we're not going to do nothing. Like, we're not just going to activate Castle of Enchantress this turn. I mean, we might just be activating Castle of Enchantress now. Well, I guess we're not. Because obviously we need to counter this. Do we need... Yeah, we do need to counter this. Shark Typhoon's only going to be a 4/4. Yeah, so just stop this Yorion. Okay, so opponent has some instant speed. Well, I guess they have Omen of the Sea as well. But yeah, I guess we'll just make a 5/5 next turn. Yeah, we're in a I'd like to think a pretty good position, but again, it really depends if our opponent has an uncountable threat. For example, if our opponent has a Fort Distortion, I'm pretty sure that's game over. I mean, we get to make a 5/5 Shark, but yeah, Fort Distortion's going to be... I mean, that's a good one as well. Opponent gets to draw 3. Ugh. Definitely makes me wish we had a Nar set in play. What's even worse as well is that it just it turns it to a 4-turn clock rather than a 3-turn clock with the Shark Typhoon. I think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If we stop this, we can only stop one other thing that our opponent does. So probably just let them look. I think the only way we're going to lose now is like, yeah, our opponent's just drawn so many cards that we just physically cannot stop everything. I mean, they've gone through all of our counter spells, and it's not like we've been complacent with our counter spells. We've definitely used them when it's correct to use them. I think we have to stop this. I don't like stopping this, but our 4/4 Shark is the pressure we have at the moment. Like, maybe it's correct just to hold these, saw it coming for something else. Don't know. Oh. We use up our last counter spell. I think we do when we scry, maybe. Yeah, suddenly not feeling so good. I think our opponents just had like too many things for us to stop. Why would it... I mean, we've got Hallowed Fountain in hand, but... So... I guess Cage stops Emergent Ultimatum this turn, if that's what our opponent's got. For science. I don't know how easily our opponent can answer the Shark as well. But if our opponent's plan is to Emergent Ultimatum, then hopefully Grafdigger's Cage can stick it to them. But yeah, they have 2 turns to answer the Shark. If our opponent has an answer to it, I mean, it's going to be really difficult to answer an opponent who goes Hydroid Krasis into MDC. Okay, opponent's going for Shark. Yeah, I've got 5 cards in hand. I mean, we have got lethal. If opponent like taps down here and does nothing, I mean, they're not going to tap down and do nothing, but like we've got a 7/7 Shark and you're on 7. I assume our opponent goes for like a big Hydroid Krasis here. Yeah. So we can do this for 7, I guess. And then we're hoping... I put a pause in our upkeep, but we're hoping to find an answer to this Hydroid Krasis. We're going to have to scry an upkeep, I think. The plan was to find an answer to the Hydroid Krasis as well as an answer to whatever our opponent's got next. But unfortunately, Shark Typhoon's just not going to cut it. And unfortunately, nor is Castle Ardenvale, so I think just going to slip away from us here, unfortunately. I think we did what we could do. I mean, our opponent just drew an insane amount of cards. We haven't really got a real way to stop Hydroid Krasis as well. We've got Narset, but we just haven't seen one of our Narsets. So either I'm an idiot or our opponent's an idiot. We'll find out. There's definitely people screaming at the screen right now going like, why have you kept Grafdigger's Cage in? It's so stupid. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I was completely wrong with that. Should have, definitely should have, what are we doing? Like, not giving him Liliana? I guess we don't give him an extra turn. Yeah, should have definitely sideboarded out the Grafdigger's Cage. I assumed because it was coming from the oh, I guess they get to cast Tibble, don't they? Yeah, okay, GG. You go down to the comments now and scream at me for keeping in cage. I wasn't sure if it worked or not. But yeah, now we know it doesn't. On to the next one. So, currently 4-1 in the historic metagame challenge. And we're going to see how we're going to get on. Just lost to a Yorion list, and we're against a Yorion list again. We did beat one on game 2. When are you going to keep this? Looks like our opponent might be on a really similar variant to what the last player was on. Like the Emergent Ultimatum. In which case, like, just gotta dodge the Hydroid Crisis, I guess. That's how we're gonna do that. Okay, opponent played around Sensor beautifully. So, probably gonna just cycle both sensors here. It's probably already nail in the coffin. I mean, if our opponent takes down again, we get to Shark Typhoon it. But... okay, Shadow's Verdict. Always feel bad when your opponent resolves a Narset and you don't really have anything to combat that. Opponent played around Sensor like wonderfully though. They were able to because of their Explore. Yep, so got to imagine that we're going to cast Shark Typhoon for 1 here. Our opponent's going to Heartless Act that. So our opponent does not have a 5th land. They're in one of them positions you quite often get into when you play a Narset that can dig you for tons of non-land cards, but all you need is lands. I'm not too worried about Narset static. I was more worried about the ability to be able to grab 2 cards. Because Castle Ardenvale will be able to answer it. I mean, this could dig our opponent to find more lands. Might be a bit aggressive, but stop our opponent from drawing lands if at all possible. And can still cycle the cast out. Haven't drawn any cards this turn. And then, if at all possible, we'll activate Ardenvale here. Might have been really aggressive countering the Omen, but if our opponent gets to find more lands, then kind of just done. I mean, opponent could have a removal spell here as well. Okay, less. They could have a Fatal Push, I guess. Could have Mystical Dispute, I guess.
I was not prepared for this.
No Sensor, though. So if they've got Mystical Dispute, they've got Mystical Dispute. So no Mystical Dispute.
This isn't a fight. We need to move quickly.
That might have been one of the reasons our opponent just slammed the Narset. I mean, yeah, because Narset like single-handedly shuts down Teferi. So we need to find some more defense. We'll do our cycling now because we're obviously going to untap. And don't think we need to worry about Grafdigger's Cage, since we've already established it doesn't do anything in this matchup. Yeah, I mean, that happens. Not much we can do about that. Teferi got us a bit of value. then we get to cycle for 5 here. Guess we get to play another Teferi. Opponent does get to search for a tapped forest, but we're going to hope that that forest is just going to be too little too late.
No time for a break.
Play a Field of Ruin. Yeah, I mean we could stop our opponent from getting that forest if we wanted to. Probably just get a Triome. But they can't use it this turn. And I'm hoping if our opponent spends their whole turn answering Teferi, then that we get a hit in for 7 with our castle, which means our opponent has to Shadow's Verdict the next turn, and then Castle Ardenvale will hopefully just become lethal very quickly. And then in 2 turns, we're able to double activate Castle. And when your opponent's on the sort of mana base they're on, you're not really able to play things like Field of Ruin. Unless they want to be super greedy. Okay, Nissa.
Strange and magnificent world.
So I think I like just doing this now so our opponent can't have something. They can't have something for 2 mana. They only have 1 mana available to them. And we can Baffling End that land away. Let's draw first. Looking for a counter spell here. Let's take that way. Yeah, and our opponent has to do quite a bit with the next turn. I mean, they've been stuck on 5 mana for this game, so it's not been too much of a fair fight. Okay, opponent's just passing the turn. I wonder if they're just saying, okay, GG, let's just see if I can see an extra card out of you before that. Or if they've got a play, they're going to just blow up the shark. Sweet. Yeah. It's never a bad thing getting to untap Teferi.
Hurry.
Yep. We don't even need to use Shark Typhoon here, but we will use Shark Typhoon. Our opponent couldn't shock that in. How much can we do it for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should probably do it in my head. I know far too many people that get annoyed by counting out loud. So opponent gonna, yep, scoop it up. Not gonna allow us to smack them. Okay, so similar list to what our opponent was on in the last game we played, but gonna hope that we can pull out the bag. So sideboard in a similar way. We'll bring out both of them this time and bring out our board wipes. Opponent does have Nissa, so maybe that's a reason to keep in some of our board wipes, but I think the plan is to stop your opponent from getting to Nissa. I can see maybe cutting the Dream Trawler, but it's just so overwhelmed. Like, maybe actually cut the Baffling Ends, keep in Cast Out, and keep in 2 Wrath of Gods. If our plan is to pressure, they can definitely see maybe bringing in Brazen Borrowers. I guess we only want to draw like 1 Wrath maybe, so we'll bring in like Brazen Borrowers instead. So we are hoping to pick up our 5th win here against Bant. I guess it's Bant Yorion, but they're like splashing the other colours as well. I think maybe just red for Valky. Yeah, what do you think of this hand? So 2 lands. We're not going to be doing anything for the first 2 turns, but I mean, it doesn't get much better than this outside of having an untapped land, so probably just going to keep this. We have a few draws to find lands. I think there's 27 lands in the list. Hopefully we don't end up like our opponent did last turn and don't find any lands. We keep some risky hands on this channel. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. The opponent's going to see our risky keep. I wonder if you take Shark Typhoon here. Because Narset really, I don't think Narset does that much. Depends what you got in hand. Really hoping to top deck a Mystical Dispute now. Our opponent goes for a Narset next turn. Yeah, I feel like probably just going to play the farmland. Yeah, I feel like Narset wasn't right to take there. It's probably best just to take a Shark Typhoon because we're struggling on lands. I'm just going to get down that farmland, and then we can cast one of our counter spells next turn. Preferably, we'll just cycle the Shark Typhoon for one. Opponent might be struggling on mana as well. They don't have double blue for Narset. Oh, there you go. So yeah, we'll cycle this for one. Yeah, opponent taking one of them Shark Typhoons means we can't do this back to back. And we did find another one, so I guess we will just do it back to back, but yikes. Now we're in a bit of trouble. Cycling Shark Typhoon for one does just not feel good. Okay, we did find land though. I think if we didn't find land there, then it definitely over. We did find it. So plan here is to pretty much counter whatever our opponent's going to do and cycle this sensor. Yeah. I was pretty much going to counter anything there. So 3, 6, Emergent Ultimatum is 7. So opponent could have it. We didn't see it game 1 though. They could definitely have it though. They've got double blue. Yeah, they've got all of the colours they need. YOLO, if opponent doesn't have it, doesn't have it. Probably going to full control it as well. And put this in Foretell. And yeah, literally just saying to our opponent, like, if you can win the game this turn with Emergent Ultimatum, then you can win it. If the best you can do is answer our Teferi, then okay. Yeah. Opponent had it. Kept a risky hand as well, so don't know. Watch all of our losses in this streak be to Emergent Ultimatum, Yorion. So I'm already telling myself that I'm not going to be giving them the extra turn spell, since that seems to be the thing that won it for them each time. Wow. So we lose to Fairy here, we cannot let them... Well, whoa, I mean, actually, if we give them Vorinclex or Liliana, then they get to Ultimate Liliana straight away. So we take Vorinclex, we lose our hand, and they're left with a Liliana and we're left with a Teferi. Because, yeah, this will just Ultimate straight away. So yeah, put Vorinclex back. We do get to keep Saw It coming for what it's worth. So yeah, we lose our hand. Fortunately, we did put the Saw It coming in exile. We'll see. I assume our opponent just ticks up here. we tuck the Liliana and then okay. So I assume our opponent's just predicting that we're just going to tuck Liliana here, which I think we do have to do. And then our opponent like what, 5 or 6 for One Dust, so tuck Liliana. I don't think we want to Field of Ruin just yet. Okay, let's cycle Sensor. I think that's probably the best thing we could have done there, maybe. And I think I will Field of Ruin in the end step. Just to make our opponent shuffle that Liliana away. I really don't want them drawing that soon. Okay, so when all's said and done, we're left with Teferi. Probably just going to pass the turn. Okay, so our opponent had nothing that turn. Like, actually nothing. Unless they're just left with counter spells because it's after boarding. Yeah. I think we really need to keep this. Saw it coming, so I think we cast out. I think we activate Castle Ardenvale. We cast out the land. Really feel like, how many counter spells have we gone past? I guess we've got tons. We've got two absorbs. That's it. So we probably do attempt to counter this. Can't lose to Fairy, can we? Okay, that makes me feel a lot worse that just went ahead. Ether Gust is okay. Our opponent just passed priority really quickly there, so it makes me think that they don't have anything. Okay, Narset is also shutting off an avenue for them. Okay, sure. Let's go. Let's see Nissa again. This is why I wanted to keep the Saw It Coming. Since there's not much we can do. It's devastating here if our opponent has another one. Who are they going for? Teferi? I hope they go for Teferi since we have the second one.
No more games.
Okay. Oh, just one turn too late.
Meditate and prepare.
Yeah, we got enough mana now where I think it's still okay to not need to take the discounted spell. We'll just take the hard counter spell. Probably should have ticked up with Teferi first as well, so we just have a little bit more information. So our opponent can answer Narset, but we should get an extra activation with Teferi. It's at 5. Yeah, I think we're going to make a 1-1. And then untap 2 lands. And then we still have 2 of our 3 counter spells available. Yeah, our opponent gets to answer Narset here, put Teferi to 2 loyalty, and then we get to tick up Teferi, and then we also get another turn with him as well. Okay, our opponent's not going to do that.
Don't make another move.
I like that we have a Hydroid Crisis covered. Yeah, unfortunately can't allow that. I hope our opponent wastes a turn just putting this on top. If not, we will veto this, because I'm not going to risk our opponent having 2 counter spells in hand. So let's stick up.
You know what? I'm not done
Do we just Wrath of God here? We just Wrath of God? I think something's happened to the volume. No. It's kind of a bit weird. All the sound effects of the cards casting has disappeared. So yeah, we'll just stop this with Absorb, I guess. And opponent's left with 1 card, and we've got double Teferi, Aether Gust opens Veto. I think we're 1 counter spell away from just having the game. We're on double tokens each turn. I think we just let our opponent have this. They're digging 4 deep. Yeah. Oh, opponent. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Narset's a thing. They're just going to be scrying 2 here. That was me considering, am I Dovin's vetoing it? They want to spend 4 mana to scry 2. I don't want to oops them. We're just, yeah, they're going to oops themselves. I think probably a bit arrogant to oops them. And if we do this, we still have veto up. Yeah, feels bad, opponent. Maybe they could have done it. They did scry 1 to the top, so yeah, we just found the second counter spell though. They scried 1 to the top, so maybe they would have drawn that in our turn, and it would have mattered. But yeah, I think this is it. We're going to move on to 5th win. Only a few left to go. And yeah, I think this is fine. No reason to stop that. We'll just take an extra turn. God, so they did get off an emergent ultimatum, and we still managed to pull it through. So I feel happy about that.
We need to move quickly.
Yeah, still have lethal next turn. No, opponent. No way you resolving that. Not on your Nelly. At least our opponent wasn't like I think it was the last Yorion player when they gave us the good game and then didn't actually concede. But yeah, sweet. This video is taking forever already. I actually don't know if I'm going to separate this into 2 parts, but I'll decide during editing. But yeah, let's move on to game 6, I think. Okay, so we are currently 5-1, I think. We have to get to 8 wins, so 6, 7, I think 8, yeah, maybe. So 2 or 3 games left. I think I'm going to say 3 just in case. What do you think of this hand? No companion from our opponent, so don't know what they are on. We can cycle this irrigated farmland on 2. We have all of our mana. We get to go tap land turn 1. Glacial Fortress. We'll keep. I think maybe I just keep way too many hands that you should really get rid of. Kind of hoping for a fast matchup now. Maybe like Gruul, mono red or something. Okay, maybe our opponent's on Elves. I was about to say nice or GG or something. I think we'll just cycle here. Yeah, I'm in the mood for an elf matchup if our opponent's on Elves. Could be on Gruul. Sweet. There's some matchups like I've played from an editing perspective watching this. I've played pretty much all of these games back to back. I took a break in between game 2 and 3 and recorded some the next day. 3 and onwards, I've played all of these. So sometimes it's really refreshing to play against some quicker matchups or some matchups, in other words, that don't have blue. And yeah, gonna baffling end here the Elvish Channeler and then just play the Grafdigger's Cage, and that prevents our opponent from being able to Collected Company on the next turn if they have it. I probably will board out these cages, but in this instance, pretty happy to have it. And we're probably like 1 board wipe away from... so as it says, creatures can't enter the battlefield. Yeah. So we'll cycle now, instead of waiting in case we hit another baffling end. Okay, so we did just have Wrath of God, so we're going to be hit for 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 next turn. Probably just play tap land. I wonder if there's a reason that our opponent's playing loads of snow mana, or maybe they just prefer the snow lands. They do look pretty sweet, and it's nice to have them in a constructed format that's like historic. Opponent might just go all out here. Nope. I don't know what they could have. The answer's not much. Should have probably played Field of Ruin first, and then use that mana to cast the Fairy. Because now we have to shock the Hallowed Fountain in just to cast the Absorb. Okay, so sweet. That was a pretty easy matchup there. Yeah. What do we want to cut? Dreamtrawler is going to be a really good way to close the game. Narset's probably not that great here. I'm going to see if I'm going to cut Cages, because they are good against Collected Company. Yeah, we have to cut 2 cards. Maybe we go like that instead, and then we keep the opportunity of being able to draw a Cage, because our opponent's definitely running 4 Collected Companies. Just, is there anything else we'd want to run, maybe? I don't think any of this does it for us. So, and Cast Out's probably going to be too expensive for what our opponent's got going on. I'm in for a turn 3 Doomscar. So, yeah, we'll keep this. Let's hope that our opponent thinks they can kill us. I mean, all of our lands are going to enter untapped anyway. Yeah, let's just play this. Hopefully our opponent thinks they can kill us on turn 4 before we can get our turn 4 board wipe off. And we get to tuck this Doomscar away this turn and then wipe the board next turn. Yeah, opponent's going big. I like it. Yeah, our opponent will get scared now. I wonder if they go like, are we going to beat it? I can't beat the turn 3 Doomscar, so let's just go and see. The other thing is our opponent could smack us, ley land, smack us with everything apart from the Llanowar Elves, and then in response to the Doomscar, or let the float mana of the Llanowar Elves, let the Doomscar wipe everything away, and then Collected Company. Seems like the best way to play around a Doomscar if you're the opponent thinking, I can't beat that. Looks like they might be doing something of that. Opponent's going to collect a company now. I don't know. We'll see how it works out for them, but the play could have been the other way around. Opponent's still got 1 mana left to them. Yeah, I think this is not going to work out too well for them. I think they obviously decided they couldn't beat it, but with a Collected Company, they could have done the Llanowar Elves play where you float the mana, wait for the board wipe to go off, and then you do it. Oh, so this is why they're playing colourless. So this is why they're playing, what's it called? Oh, if I could speak. Snowlands. Yeah, I guess we'll just get down Castle Ardenvale. Thank you, opponent. You're 1 more emote away from being muted. I like the hello and the occasional nice, but I think playing an Ardenvale or Surtress Cantor is not nice. Oh, yes. I think if you're the opponent, you can't play around that. You just cast it. Okay, that I'll give him that. That's fair enough. Like, library. Okay, opponent's getting muted now. So yeah, let's just activate Field of Ruin, I guess. Just take that away from them. Fill our graveyard for Surtress Cantor. And yeah, just baffling end the Elvish Clancaller and take over Surtress Cantor. And hopefully this is going to bring us on to our 6th win. So 4 cards in the graveyard. Yeah, probably activate Field of Ruin instead. Could maybe save it for their land again. It's probably safer to just save it for their land. I'm just trying to transform Searcher's Cantor as soon as I can. Let's play land first, and then the auto tapper won't tap our Arden Vale for us. I mean, opponent's like not out of it. Like Collected Company or something, still good for them. I mean, it can create a board from our opponent, but like how slow. On the other hand, if we counter this, then that's the last card we need in the graveyard. We'll wait one turn. If our opponent wants to just activate Imperious Perfect every turn, then I think we're okay with that. Since we also get to activate our castle. I mean, I'd like to think that we can beat Elves. The only thing I'm slightly regretting is blowing up their land with our Field of Ruin. Maybe that was a little bit aggressive. Yeah, we're going to keep that, even though we don't transform our Searcher's Cantor. Because, yep. We're obviously keeping the Dream Trawler. This is going to close the game really quickly. And we even get to hold up the Absorb. Sweet. So yeah, we're probably in garbage time now. Well and truly over. And graveyard that, transform. Play land. I guess we'll activate this now. Ether Gust. Since our opponent's whole deck's green, probably makes sense to just do that. So ways our opponent could win it. I think even back-to-back Collected Companies don't do it. I mean, our opponent could go super wide here. But yeah, I think we're just going to take this. And guess we'll scry. Maybe should be creating 1/1s. Guess we'll just put this back on top of our opponent's library, and then there's definitely no way they can go wider than us, since all of our tokens can now trade for it. I think they chose to put it on the bottom anyway. Yeah. Teferi pumps up Dream Trawler, and probably not going to... I mean, we can actually activate Castle Arden Vale this turn, as Cantor. Probably just doesn't matter at this point. Just activate as Cantor. Grab a Wrath, just in case our opponent tries to go round us. And then untap, untap. Yep. That's fine. Yeah, take another Wrath. I don't know where our opponent's at in terms of the event. So I don't know if they're playing at the moment just because it's their last attempt at winning. Maybe they're currently 2 losses. Go down to the very last draw. Yeah, just take an Absorb. I mean, I don't think it matters. Sweet. It is refreshing to play against a list without blue. So cannot be countered, and okay, our opponent can actually activate this. So we're actually like a little bit close to dying. They don't get trampled, do they? Yeah. And become dinosaurs, so we just make our opponent activate this. take nothing. And then kill them with Dream Troll on the way back. Fair enough. I don't know what our opponent's been saying because we muted them earlier on. But fair enough for them playing to the end. We won't waste any more time. We'll just attack. And good game.